On Christmas Eve, my dad sent me a text that simply read, "Thanks for existing, don't come." I'd been shouldering everything, rent, groceries, utilities, ever since I moved in with my sister. That night, she told our parents I was basically just squatting in her place. I didn't respond, but when I tried to unlock the door the next morning, my key wouldn't turn. Two neatly wrapped boxes were sitting outside in the quiet, one of them still shifting ever so slightly. "Thanks for existing, don't come." That was the message waiting for me, no explanation, no warm holiday greeting. Just 6 empty words, like someone sealing an envelope on a relationship they were done with. I sat on my bedroom floor, cross-legged, staring at my phone screen like the message might magically soften into something less cruel if I looked long enough. But it never did. They were all there, my mom, my dad, my sister, having their holiday, playing the part of a warm, united family while I sat alone, once again on the outside looking in. For the past year and a half, I'd been carrying the weight of everything. The rent, the groceries, the electricity. Maya had lost her job, or that's what she said, and while she figured it out, I took care of everything, quietly. I never made a fuss because that's what you're supposed to do when it's family, right? That night, she barely said anything before heading off to Christmas dinner at our parents' place, just slung her coat over one shoulder, gave her curls a final fluff in the mirror, then stopped at the door. "Oh, if they ask, I told them you're just kinda squatting here, since your name's not on the lease and all." She didn't say it like she was joking. She said it like she was reading off a grocery list. I paused mid-dish, my hands frozen in the soapy sink water. "You told them what?" I asked. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Relax, it's not that serious. I just didn't want them thinking I'm letting you stay here rent-free or anything. It's just easier this way." "But I am the one paying the rent," I said, my voice low but steady. "Yeah, well, they don't need to know that." And then she walked out before I could say another word. I didn't message her, didn't call, didn't try to explain a thing. I just sat there at the kitchen table, staring at the cheap string lights I'd put up weeks ago, wondering how many more years I'd waste like this, pouring myself into people who'd already decided I wasn't worth a seat at their table. By midnight, I'd made up my mind. I got up, pulled the toolkit out of the hallway closet, and changed the locks, no hesitation, no remorse. When I finally went to bed, the apartment felt different, still, lighter. It felt like mine, maybe for the very first time. The next morning, sometime around 8:17 a.m., I heard someone fumbling keys at the door. A click, then a curse, another rattle of metal. Nothing, then knocking, then loud pounding. And then, silence. I never opened the door, but I left something behind for her. 2 gift-wrapped boxes set neatly on the welcome mat. One was medium-sized with a flawless ribbon tied around it. The other was smaller. And still moving. It hadn't started this way. First, it was just small things, grocery runs. Then it was the rent, then came her student loan payments she swore she'd repay soon, and when she got fired again, I didn't ask questions. I just stepped in, took extra shifts, sold my old laptop, cut out travel plans, hobbies, even dating. I kept telling myself it was just for now, that this was what a good brother would do. But for now turned into always. And always became a silent obligation, and eventually silence became the only thing left between us. Because what do you even say to someone who lets you keep their lights on, then tells your parents you're just a squatter in your own apartment? I should have seen it coming. Maya had always known how to work her words. She could spin herself into a victim while turning me into some inconvenient footnote. She was a master manipulator even as a kid, crying her way out of consequences. As an adult, she just cried her way into people's wallets. Our parents were no exception. If anything, they were her biggest fans. In their eyes, she was the creative one. A little unpredictable. But, as Mom liked to say with a chuckle, her heart's in the right place. Meanwhile, I was labeled the uptight one, too rigid, too cold. But coldness is what grows when love comes with terms and conditions. I'd stopped showing up for family dinners months ago. Not because I didn't miss them, but because I couldn't fake it anymore. Every conversation turned into some kind of guilt-laced plea. "You're the stable one. She's just going through a lot. You know, she's sensitive. Why do you always make things harder?" The truth? I was just exhausted, worn out from paying for everything. Tired of being the only responsible one in a room full of chaos. Sick of waking up in an apartment that came out of my bank account, only to be treated like I didn't belong there. But what finally broke me happened just 3 weeks before Christmas. We were in the living room. I just wrapped up a 12-hour shift and brought home takeout for both of us. I dropped the bag on the table. Maya didn't even glance up from her phone. "Can you Venmo me?" she asked casually. "For my share of the takeout?" I blinked. "You mean the food I paid for with my own card? Using my money? After you haven't contributed to rent in months?" She shrugged, still tapping away on her phone. "Yeah, but you chose to do that. I didn't ask you to. You've been asking me all year," I reminded her. She finally looked up. "Well, no one made you." And that's when it sank in. She didn't feel an ounce of guilt. Not once. She wasn't leaning on me out of hardship. She was using me because I let her. A week later, I opened a credit card statement, not mine, at least it shouldn't have been. But the account was in my name. My stomach dropped as I read the total, $6,438.72. Spent at Sephora, Apple, Zara, a luxury spa. Even a deposit at a tattoo studio. I called the credit card company. They confirmed the account was opened using my social security number and my email address. She'd stolen my identity, and I didn't even confront her right away. I went silent, started watching. I tracked her spending, took screenshots, sat quietly while she pranced around in new boots and flashed her Apple Watch on FaceTime, gossiping about her idiot brother, like I wasn't sitting 5 feet away. I told myself I'd deal with it after the holidays, maybe January, maybe February. Let it simmer. Let her get comfortable, but then Christmas came and my father's message. Thanks for existing, don't come. And later that night, Maya sipping wine, smirking like it was all just a game. I mean, she said, you can't seriously expect them to treat you like family when you act like a tenant you don't belong. So I changed the locks. I gave her the gifts I'd originally bought because I'm not heartless, and I added one more, the second box. Inside that box was a printed copy of the credit card statement. Her name scrawled across the top in thick red marker. Beneath it, a flash drive labeled in sharp black ink, packed with audio files. Recordings I quietly made of her talking to her friends. In one of them, she was laughing as she said, honestly, he deserves it. He's like a bank without overdraft fees. Why wouldn't I take advantage? The box kept trembling slightly from the old phone I'd hidden inside, set to vibrate on a loop from a scheduled alarm. It wasn't random. I wanted her to feel what I'd been drowning in all year long. That constant undercurrent of tension, that disorienting, anxious buzz in your gut that never quite goes away. I was in the kitchen, reheating leftovers, when the pounding began. Not a polite knock. This was full-on fists slamming against the door like someone trying to break it down. What caught me off guard wasn't the noise. It was how calm I felt. I walked over, opened the door slowly, and there she was, Maya, her hair wild, eyeliner streaked, fury pouring off her in waves. What the hell is this? She screamed, holding the silver box like it might explode in her hands. I tilted my head a little. A Christmas gift. It's vibrating. I know. Did you open it? Her mouth opened like she was about to say something, then shut just as fast. You should, I said. Then I stepped back. Come in, since, you don't have keys anymore. She stormed inside, tossed the box onto the coffee table. The ribbon had already come loose. She yanked the lid off, stared inside, and froze. Total silence. Everything inside had been carefully arranged. A stack of printed screenshots from her own texts, calling me a freeloader and mocking me as a walking paycheck. The flash drive marked, for Dad, with a sticky note folded beside it. Just one sentence written in sharp black ink. Your lease is up, emotionally and otherwise. She turned to me, her eyes wild, her voice sharp. You're heartless. I shook my head. No, I'm just finished. Right then, my phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at the screen. Dad was calling. I picked up and put it on speaker. Son, what the hell is going on? Your sister showed us what you left her. That was cruel. I let out a dry laugh. You mean the same sister who told you I was squatting in my own apartment? The same family that told me not to come to Christmas. That wasn't about you, he snapped. You've been distant, cold. You isolate yourself, you. You told me not to come. I cut in. And guess what? I didn't. Maya yanked the phone out of my hand. Dad, he's gone completely off the rails. He changed the locks. He's stalking me. He planted. Oh, come on, I said, snatching the phone back. Why don't you tell him what's really in that box? Silence. Dad, I continued, voice steady. Do you know who's been opening credit accounts in my name? Do you know who ran up $6,438 in debt under my identity? More silence. Then finally, Dad's voice. Is that true? No, Maya screamed. He's lying. He's just trying to make a scene. Get sympathy. Then why? I asked. Does Capital One have your email attached to an account opened with my social security number? Why are there purchases in my name from all the stores you shop at? She didn't answer, but I wasn't done. Oh, and this part's my favorite, I said. Walking over to the bookshelf and grabbing a small black speaker, I tapped play. Her voice crackled through the room, crisp and unmistakable. He's just so easy to manipulate. He always feels guilty. I could burn down the apartment and he'd still pay my phone bill. She went pale, like all the color had drained from her face in one breath. That's out of context, she muttered. I raised an eyebrow. Really? What's the proper context for he deserves to suffer? Dad didn't say a word. Neither did she. The room went dead still. And then, a knock, soft, hesitant, not hers. I opened the door. It was Mom, and behind her, Mike, Maya's ex. What are you doing here? She started, voice on edge. I need to talk to you, Mike said, looking straight at me. Both of you. His voice wasn't shaking from fear, it was fury. I just found out, he said, eyes locked on mine, that someone's been using my name too. 2 iPhones ordered last month. A hotel booking in Miami. They called me for payment today. He turned slowly to Maya. Was it you? She opened her mouth, then closed it, tried again. Nothing. Why would I do that? She finally stammered. He looked down at the table, the flash drive, the screenshots, the still glowing speaker. I think you should leave, he said quietly. What? She snapped. You're taking his side? I'm done siding with liars, he said, stepping past her into the apartment. I turned, jaw clenched. What do you mean here? I mean, he said, meeting my eyes. If you'll let me stay a few days, I think we've both been getting played by the same person, and maybe it's time we stopped letting her run the show. Maya blinked like she'd just been slapped. You're siding with him? I'm siding with the truth. She just stood there, for once in her life. No act, no crocodile tears, no script, only silence. Don't worry, I said, tossing her coat off the chair and pointing toward the hallway. Your stuff's out there, right next to the trash. Feel free to guess which is which. She left. No dramatic monologue. No guilt trips. Just the fading sound of her heels down the hall and the soft ding of the elevator. The next morning, the silence in my apartment didn't feel empty. Felt earned. I stood in the kitchen, holding a mug of day-old coffee, watching the steam rise in lazy spirals. I'd expected to feel something. Regret, maybe. Sadness. Some ache in my chest. But there was none of that. Just peace. No more second-guessing, just this still, steady calm. Mike was still passed out on the couch, softly snoring beneath the blanket I'd tossed over him the night before. He hadn't said much after Maya stormed out, just mumbled finally under his breath, gave me a nod, and knocked out cold. When he finally woke up, the first thing he saw was my laptop open on the table, his brow arched. Working already? I'm getting every cent back, I told him. He rubbed his face, still groggy. What? Like filing charges? More than that, I said, turning the screen so he could see. This is official now. Step 1, file the claim. I'd been pulling together evidence the moment she walked out the door, real folders, organized screenshots of bank statements, credit card transactions, IP logs, purchase receipts, anything and everything tied to her trail. I submitted a formal identity theft report to the police and opened claims with every financial institution involved. Capital One was the first to reply. They flagged the account and launched a full investigation. By Friday, I got the notification your reimbursement has been approved. $6,438.72. I stared at the screen and finally exhaled. For the first time in days, I could actually breathe. But that was just the start. Step 2, tally the cost. I opened a spreadsheet and began tracking the damage. 18 months of paying for 2 people. Rent? $950 a month. Utilities? Around $180. Groceries? Easily over $100 weekly. Random emergencies? Could be $500 at a time. Row after row, charge after charge. By the time I reached the bottom of the sheet, my stomach turned. $17,892. And that didn't even cover the missed meals, skipped sleep, or the nights I worked double shifts just to stay ahead of her chaos. I screenshot every line, saved it to a flash drive, and made the call. Step 3, lawyer up. I'm not just here because she stole my identity. I told the attorney. She leeched off me for over a year, and my parents helped her. He looked sharp, polished, the kind of guy who wins before court is even scheduled. You have proof? He asked. I slid the flash drive across his desk. He plugged it in, clicked once. scrolled. His brows lifted. You documented everything? Down to the penny. And your parents? They listed me on utility accounts without asking. I've got the contracts. He gave a low whistle. This isn't just identity theft. It's sustained financial exploitation. So, do we have a case? He leaned back in his leather chair. We don't just have a case, we have headlines. Step 4, the fallout. 3 weeks later, on a rainy Wednesday, 3 certified letters landed in my parents' mailbox. One for Maya, one for Mom, one for Dad, each stamped with the law firm's logo. 20 minutes later, my phone lit up. Caller ID, Mom. I answered. Hello. What the hell are you doing? She snapped. Good morning to you too. You're suing us? After everything we've done for you. Done to me? I corrected. Let's not rewrite history. We're your family. And you illegally co-signed utility bills in my name. That's called fraud. It was just some paperwork. No, it was theft. You're blowing this out of proportion. You're the one who told me not to come to Christmas. She didn't respond right away. When she did, her voice was cold. We raised you. We gave you a home when you needed it. I wasn't living there. I was paying for it. Step 5, unexpected backup. 3 days later, my phone rang again. Nana. I hadn't heard from her in months. Not since Maya told me. Nana's done with your drama. Don't call her. But now her voice was steady, no hesitation. I saw the lawsuit, she said. And the bank records. My heart sank. You saw the bond? She exhaled. Your father cashed out over $9,000 from a savings bond set aside in your name, used it to pay off Maya's old car. I sat down, stomach twisted. I didn't even know there was a bond. Well, she said, there wasn't any more, but I froze the rest of the account, moved it back into your name where it belongs. I didn't know what to say. Then she added, also, I've rewritten my will. I blinked. What? You'll be getting the house when the time comes. I know you'll take care of it. Nana, why? Because, she said softly, you're the only one who never asked for anything and the only one who kept receipts. The courtroom felt cold, sterile. Maya walked in dressed like a victim, muted beige, soft makeup, eyes wide. Mom wore all black. Dad couldn't even look at me. My lawyer laid everything out, pages upon pages of evidence, bank fraud, text messages, misused power of attorney, forged documents, stolen savings. Maya tried to cry. Mom claimed early onset confusion. Dad just looked defeated. But the judge? She didn't flinch. Did you list your son on financial documents without his permission? She asked my mother. I mean, it was family. Yes or no, ma'am? Silence, then a whisper, yes. The ruling was swift. $13,000 in restitution, all fraudulent debts cleared, court costs paid by them, a formal warning on their financial records. And then epilogue. 2 weeks later, I got a letter, handwritten, no return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly. Maya, you happy now? You made your point. Inside was a photo, me and her, kids under the Christmas tree, her tiny arms wrapped around me like I was the one thing anchoring her to the world. I turned it over, grabbed a pen, and wrote one quiet line. You let go first. Then I burned the photo. It's strange, really, what silence sounds like when you finally, truly earn it. 3 months had passed since the court decision, and I still hadn't heard a single word from my parents, no texts, no phone calls, not even a birthday card, and honestly, that silence felt like a blessing. There were no more expectations to explain myself, no pressure to defend my choices, no need to convince anyone that I wasn't some kind of failure. Gone were the constant guilt trips about how hard Maya supposedly had it. Gone was the line about how I was the dependable one, so naturally I had to keep everything together. That part of my life, the part where I was always needed but never considered, was over. I was finally free to exist without being used. I didn't move out, I stayed right there in the same apartment, but for the first time it actually felt like my own space, the kind of place where you open the fridge and every single thing inside belongs to you. And no one's secretly whispering that you're just squatting. The air didn't feel heavy anymore, no one was hijacking my Wi-Fi or stuffing the drain with hair or leaving notes about groceries they never paid for. Same walls, same couch, same city outside the window, but inside, everything was different. The silence had a weight to it, but not the crushing kind. It was clean, still, empowering. And eventually, people started asking the obvious question, wasn't it hard? Wasn't it painful to cut off your whole family like that? I always give the same answer, it wasn't cruel, it was necessary. I'd spent too many years making myself smaller, easier to digest. I smiled through barbs, covered bills instead of confronting boundaries, let them call me selfish for not handing over everything while they gave me nothing but guilt in return. You want to know what the real cruelty was? It was how long I let that cycle go on, how long I let them shape me into something I didn't even recognize, just to keep the peace. The moment I stopped being the obedient son, the reliable brother, the bottomless wallet, they didn't grieve me, they missed what I gave them. That was the truth I'd spent years too afraid to see. Then one afternoon in May, I opened my email and saw a message from a name I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Your sister isn't doing well." It was from a woman named Brooke, someone Maya used to hang around with. The message was short, clinical. "She's crashing on couches, lost another job, telling everyone I ruined her life, just thought I'd want to know." I sat there, staring at those words, and then I hit delete. Not because I didn't care, but because caring doesn't mean stepping back into the fire. I can care without sacrificing myself. And then, not long after, I bumped into my dad at a gas station, total accident. We made eye contact across the pumps, and I could see it. He looked smaller somehow, like a man who'd finally run out of stories to hide behind. He walked over slowly, not angry, just defeated. "You look good," he said. I nodded but didn't say anything. He stared at the pavement. "Your mother's still upset," he mumbled. "She says you ruined Christmas." I raised an eyebrow. "That's interesting. She's the one who told me not to come. I just followed instructions." He sighed. "Families fight, son." "No," I said, "families fight for each other. You fought for Maya, but you never once fought for me." He didn't argue. He didn't offer a defense, just stood there waiting, like maybe I'd toss him a rope back in. But I didn't. I got in my car. I drove away. And what I felt in that moment wasn't anger, it was peace, not revenge, not even justice, just freedom. Let me be clear, this was never about revenge. I didn't burn bridges for the drama. I didn't do this to punish anyone. I did it to breathe, to let go of the idea that love is something you earn by emptying yourself, to let go of guilt I never should have carried, to walk away from a role that asked me to disappear for the sake of other people's comfort. I didn't go in wanting to destroy a family, I just stopped destroying myself to keep it functioning, and when I stepped away, the whole system collapsed, not because I broke it, because I stopped holding it up. That's when I felt it, for real, for the first time, I felt alive. Then, 2 weeks ago, I got a package in the mail, no return address, inside was a small envelope. And inside that envelope? A single photograph. It was me and Chloe, Maya's daughter from years ago. She was maybe 4, perched on my shoulders, laughing, clutching my face like she thought I might float away if she let go. On the back, in wobbly handwriting, it said, "I'm sorry for how my mom treated you. Thank you for everything. Signed, Chloe." I stared at that note until the words went blurry. I still don't know how she found me. Maybe Nana, maybe luck, maybe something bigger. But that one message, it made every hard choice worth it. Now, that photo sits in the top drawer of my desk, not because I'm clinging to the past, but because it reminds me of what I finally understand. Walking away doesn't mean you stopped loving, it just means, finally, you loved yourself enough to leave. And that's not vengeance. That's freedom.